If you're watching this right now, you're about to discover something that will fundamentally change how you interact with reality itself. Not through action, not through effort, not through force, but through the precise mechanism of observation. There exists a very specific way of observing reality that causes the quantum field to reorganize, restructure, and quite literally rewrite what you experience as your life circumstances. This isn't about positive thinking or visualization techniques. This is about quantum mechanics operating at the level of consciousness itself. When you observe reality in the right way, you are not perceiving a pre-existing world. You are creating it through the act of observation. Modern physics has already hinted at this truth, that consciousness and reality are inseparable. The famous double-slit experiment proved it beyond doubt. Observation changes the observed. Particles behave as waves when unobserved. Infinite potential, undefined possibilities, but when observed, they collapse into specific measurable particles. The universe literally changes form when it's being watched. But here's the part most people miss. It's not just whether you observe that matters, it's how you observe that determines which reality collapses into existence. Wrong observation creates one version of reality. Right observation creates another. The same quantum field holds all possibilities simultaneously. Every outcome, every version of your life already existing in potential form. The way you look determines which version becomes your experience. The reason you're hearing these words at this exact moment isn't random. You didn't stumble here by accident. Consciousness doesn't operate on coincidence. It operates through resonance. You are encountering this because your frequency has reached a point where understanding the mechanism of observation is possible. At this level, quantum mechanics can be applied consciously rather than remaining an automatic, unconscious process. If you weren't ready for this, these words would sound abstract, theoretical, maybe even nonsensical. But because you are ready, they strike a chord deep within you, a knowing, a recognition, like something ancient being remembered. What you're about to learn won't just change what you think about reality. It will change how reality itself behaves in response to you. Have you noticed that when you focus directly on your problems, they seem to grow stronger? When you fixate on lack, more lack appears. When you seek evidence of limitation, the universe seems eager to confirm it. This isn't coincidence, confirmation bias, or wishful thinking gone wrong. This is the quantum mechanism of observation at work. You have been observing in a way that reinforces the reality you already have, rather than creating the one you actually want. This is the doorway to the next level of awareness. For over a century, physicists have wrestled with a strange truth. The universe behaves differently when it's being observed. The double-slit experiment wasn't a fluke. It was a revelation that shattered classical ideas of an objective, independent world. When electrons are unobserved, they exist as waves, pure potential, everywhere and nowhere at once. But the moment observation enters the equation, the wave collapses into a single, defined point, a particle. Observation doesn't just reveal reality, it creates it. But this discovery raised a deeper, more unsettling question. What exactly counts as an observer? Is it the measuring instrument, or the consciousness interpreting the result? Over decades of experiments, one truth kept resurfacing. Consciousness itself is inseparable from the physical outcome. Reality is not independent of the observer. It responds to the observer. Yet, while science accepted that observation changes matter, few dared to ask how it happens. That's where the real secret lies. Not in the act of looking, but in the quality of observation. You see, the quantum field doesn't simply respond to attention. It responds to the state of consciousness behind that attention. The field mirrors the way you look at it. When you observe reality expecting to find problems, you collapse the field into more problems. When you observe expecting harmony, solutions, or abundance, you collapse the field into those possibilities instead. Observation is not neutral. It's a creative act. Each thought, emotion, and expectation attached to your observation carries quantum weight. The field listens to the tone of your awareness, not the words you speak. This is why positive affirmations often fail, because beneath the words, "I am abundant" may still exist an observation of "I lack." The quantum field doesn't hear your surface statements. It reads your energetic signature, your true observation method. Research from the Institute of Noetic Sciences, led by Dr. Dean Radin, supports this principle. Thousands of controlled experiments show that consciousness, when directed with intention and observation, measurably affects physical quantum systems. Light photons, random number generators, even atomic behavior shift in response to human observation. The implication is staggering. Your state of consciousness can influence the physical world, not metaphorically, but measurably. So look carefully at how you observe your life. Do you look to confirm what's already true? Or do you observe to discover something new? When you check your bank account, are you looking to see if abundance exists, or to confirm that it doesn't? When you look at your body, are you observing health, or are you observing the absence of it? Every moment, you are running an experiment, and the universe is responding with precision. Observation that confirms what exists locks reality into its current form. Reality as you've known it isn't fixed. It's fluid, alive, constantly rearranging itself based on how you observe it. Beneath everything you can touch or see lies the quantum field, a sea of infinite possibilities existing in superposition. Meaning, every possible version of reality exists simultaneously, waiting for observation to choose one. Each decision, emotion, and focus acts like a lens collapsing that limitless potential into one specific outcome, the one you experience as your life. This is the hidden mechanism of creation. The universe is not showing you what's objectively real. It's showing you what your observation method allows to be real. You're not walking through a pre-built world. You're walking through a constantly updating field that takes form in response to your consciousness. The quantum field is neutral. It doesn't prefer success or failure, abundance or lack, joy or fear. It simply reflects the dominant pattern of observation that consciousness projects into it. Imagine the field as a mirror, but one that doesn't reflect your physical appearance. It reflects your expectation. If you stand before it expecting to see limitation, it shows limitation. Expecting freedom, it shows freedom. It has no agenda. It simply obeys observation. This means your circumstances are not random or permanent. They are reflections of how you've been looking, what you've been expecting to find. When you understand this, something extraordinary happens. The feeling of powerlessness begins to dissolve. You stop asking, why is life happening to me? And start realizing, life is responding through me. The shift seems subtle, but it changes everything. Because the moment you stop fighting your current circumstances and instead adjust how you observe them, the quantum field begins to reorganize itself. Most people, without realizing it, use observation as a form of confirmation rather than creation. They look at the world to see what's already there, to confirm what they believe, to measure progress, to check if their desires have appeared yet. But this is the wrong use of observation. The field takes that act as an instruction. Keep this reality stable, and so it does. It freezes your current circumstances in place, replaying the same experiences again and again. But when you observe reality, expecting to find your desired outcome, already forming when you look at life through the lens of it's already here, and I'm discovering it, the field begins to shift. Subtle signs start appearing. Coincidences align. Opportunities surface out of nowhere. What seemed impossible begins to unfold naturally, because you've changed the way you observe. You've likely experienced this before, even without knowing the cause. Think of times when you let go of worrying about a problem and then the solution appeared effortlessly. That wasn't luck. Every moment of your life is an ongoing quantum experiment, and you are both the observer and the observed. Just like the double-slit experiment revealed how a particle's behavior changes under observation. Your circumstances shift depending on how you look at them. You're performing this experiment constantly, whether you're aware of it or not. Every thought, every glance, every inner conclusion about how things are sends a command to the field. When you wake up and immediately check your phone for problems, you're making an observation. I expect difficulty today. The field responds obediently. When you look at your finances expecting lack, that expectation collapses the field into scarcity. When you observe your relationships expecting tension or misunderstanding, that's the version of reality that forms. None of this is punishment, it's precision. The field doesn't judge. It simply mirrors your observation method with absolute accuracy. You've already seen this play out in small ways. Have you noticed how focusing on something you dislike seems to amplify it? Or how when you expect something to go wrong, it usually does? The mind calls it coincidence. Psychology labels it confirmation bias. But beneath those explanations lies a deeper truth. Your consciousness is interacting with the quantum field in real time, selecting which version of events you experience based on how you look at them. Dr. Dean Radin's research at the Institute of Noetic Sciences offers evidence for this unseen experiment. In thousands of trials, participants influenced random physical systems, photon patterns, atomic behaviors, even digital random number generators, simply through intention and observation. The data revealed a consistent pattern. The quality of the observer's state mattered more than effort or belief. Calm, focused, expectant observation produced measurable change. Forced or doubtful observation did not. Consciousness interacts with the field through resonance, not effort. Now apply that truth inward. Every thought you think about your own life is an observation inside your personal quantum experiment. You can test this scientifically, not with lab equipment but with awareness. Begin by noticing how your inner dialogue frames your day. Do you observe expecting to find frustration or flow? Problems or pathways? When you subtly shift expectation before evidence changes, reality begins reorganizing to match the new frequency. You might notice strange coincidences. People calling at the exact right time, opportunities aligning in ways that defy logic, or long-standing problems quietly dissolving. This isn't fantasy or self-delusion. It's your consciousness adjusting the field through altered observation. Once you realize this, hope becomes unnecessary. You stop wishing for change and begin observing it into existence. The truth is profound but simple. You've never been a passive observer of your life. Imagine standing before a mirror that doesn't reflect your face but your expectation. That's what the quantum field truly is. A living mirror of consciousness. Whatever you project through your observation, it returns with flawless precision. The world you see isn't showing you what's real. It's showing you what your consciousness expects to be real. This is why repeating the same problems feels like déjà vu. You've been observing the same reflection again and again, expecting it to stay as it is, and so it does. The field doesn't argue, it doesn't resist. It simply obeys. You think you're reacting to what's out there, but what's out there is reacting to you. Look carefully at how this plays out in daily life. When you observe a challenge as something that needs fixing, you're sending a signal that this is broken. The field mirrors that by keeping the situation unresolved. When you observe your desires as something not yet here, the mirror reflects that distance, reinforcing the waiting, the hoping, the separation. But when you observe your desires as already unfolding, when you expect them as natural and inevitable, the mirror reflects alignment. You don't chase change. It starts appearing because you've shifted your reflection. Observation isn't passive. It's interactive. You're not standing before the mirror watching it show you the same old reflection. You're shaping it. Every emotion, every subtle expectation, every mental story you tell becomes a brushstroke on the canvas of your experience. The field doesn't respond to what you say you want. It responds to how you see. This is why action without awareness often fails. You can work harder, hustle more, take endless steps, but if your observation still expects lack, your reality remains constrained. You'll feel as if invisible resistance keeps things stuck, not realizing that resistance is your own observation looping the same outcome. On the other hand, a simple shift in the way you look, observing as though the solution already exists, can cause events to align with uncanny timing. You've experienced this. Think of the time something started working, the moment you stopped obsessing over it. You released the observation of problem and replaced it with a neutral or even expectant observation, and suddenly, the mirror shifted. It wasn't magic. It was physics. You stopped observing limitation and the field reorganized accordingly. This is the mirror effect of consciousness. Reality is not an external object that exists independently of you. It's a reflection of your inner frequency projected outward through the act of observation. The world rearranges itself to match the image you hold, not mentally, but energetically. You can't fool the mirror with words. You can only change what it reflects by changing what you project. So the next time life seems to show you something unwanted, remember, the mirror isn't mocking you, it's teaching you. Time, that steady, unshakable river we think we're floating down, is not what it seems. Quantum physics has quietly been whispering this truth for decades. Time doesn't flow, it collapses. What you call past, present, and future are simultaneous layers of probability, and observation decides which layer becomes your experience. Think of every moment of your life as a frame in an infinite film reel. All the frames already exist. Observation is what moves the light through the projector, illuminating one frame at a time. When you remember something, you're not reaching into a dead past. You're re-observing a particular frame. When you imagine a future, you're peering into another frame that's just as real, just not yet lit by your awareness. The secret is this: both are happening right now. In the famous double-slit and delayed choice experiments, photons acted as if they knew what the observer would do after the event occurred. They adjusted their past behavior accordingly. This means observation doesn't merely determine what happens now, it can rewrite what's already happened, sculpting both past and future from the present point of focus. Consciousness bends time because time itself is a construct within consciousness. You've experienced this bending of time before. Ever noticed how hours can disappear when you're deeply immersed in something joyful, or how minutes stretch endlessly when you're anxious? That's not a trick of perception. That's your observation slowing or speeding the unfolding of probability. You are not moving through time. Time is moving through you. Now imagine applying this consciously. When you hold a new observation long enough, truly feel and see it as your reality, you're sending a signal that rewrites your probable past to support that timeline. Events begin to retrofit themselves to make the new outcome logical. People, opportunities, coincidences appear as though drawn from thin air. You think you're moving toward your dream, but in truth, the dream is folding time around you, aligning everything that must be true for it to exist. This is what mystics call divine timing. It's not about waiting for the right moment. It's about tuning your observation so precisely that time itself rearranges. The moment you observe with certainty, probabilities collapse, not just ahead of you, but behind you too. The story reshapes itself to match the new frequency. So when you say it hasn't happened yet, you're simply observing the version of the timeline where it hasn't. But when you shift your observation to it's already done, the universe quietly rearranges the film reel, placing you in the frame where that's true. The journey collapses into the now. The truth is staggering but liberating. Time does not create you, and you create time. Every second, every before and after, is a projection of consciousness, aligning its own probabilities. Observation isn't just about seeing, it's about feeling. The quantum field doesn't respond to your words, your logic, or even your surface thoughts. It responds to your frequency, and your frequency is generated by how you feel when you observe. Every emotion is a vibration, a signal that encodes your reality at a molecular level. You might say, "I believe I'll succeed." But if your emotional frequency carries fear or doubt, the field receives that as the true observation. It doesn't hear the words, it feels the energy. To the universe, emotion is language. Thought gives direction, but emotion gives power. You can think abundance, but if you feel scarcity, the mirror reflects scarcity. You can say you're healed, but if you feel broken, the field collapses into that version of you. This is why feeling is the most precise form of observation. The frequency you radiate, from your heart, not your head, determines which probabilities become real. Studies in heart coherence by the HeartMath Institute have shown that when people generate emotions like gratitude, love, and trust, their electromagnetic fields expand and synchronize with the Earth's magnetic field. During these moments of alignment, improbable things begin to happen: accelerated healing, spontaneous opportunities, unexpected resolutions. It's not luck, it's resonance. Think of yourself as a tuning fork in a vast symphony of frequencies. When your inner vibration resonates with the version of reality you desire, that version becomes audible, visible, real. The field doesn't have to be forced. It naturally harmonizes with whatever tone you hold. That's why trying hard to manifest something rarely works. Effort usually carries resistance, and resistance is a low frequency. But when you feel your desire as already fulfilled, calmly, confidently, joyfully, the field recognizes that vibration and aligns instantly. It's not about pretending or faking emotions either. You don't need to lie to yourself or deny your pain. You simply shift the quality of your observation. Feel what you would feel if it were already true. Not because you're trying to manipulate reality, but because that state is reality on another frequency. You're just tuning into it. This is why gratitude is so powerful. When you feel gratitude for something before it appears, you're sending the most magnetic frequency possible, the signal that it's already done. Gratitude is the emotional signature of completion. It tells the field, "I've received," and the field, being perfectly responsive, echoes back with evidence that you have. So when you observe, don't just think your reality, feel it. Let the emotion saturate your body until it becomes your baseline frequency. That's when miracles cease to be miracles. They become natural outcomes of resonance. Because at the deepest level, the universe doesn't care what you think you deserve. It mirrors what you feel you are. Most people live inside a self-made loop, feedback cycle between observation and reflection. They keep seeing the same patterns in life, not realizing that they're observing those patterns into existence every day. The same relationships, the same frustrations, the same outcomes repeat, not because destiny is cruel, but because the observer hasn't changed the lens. You can't experience a new reality while observing through an old vibration. Your life isn't repeating. Your observation is. Every morning you wake up and unconsciously tune your frequency to the same emotional channel, worry, resentment, doubt, or even numbness. The field hears it and mirrors it faithfully, and so the loop continues. To break it, you don't need to fight the reflection. You change what you project. The mirror can't show you a new image until you show it a new face. Yet most people attack the mirror. They blame circumstances, chase solutions, demand change, and all while holding the same observation of it never works. It's always hard. Nothing ever changes. The universe doesn't argue. It agrees. The loop thrives on unconscious repetition. Every complaint, every emotional reaction, every mental story you revisit becomes an energetic command to replay this scene. The only way out is awareness and not willpower, not struggle. Awareness is the knife that cuts the loop. When you begin noticing your habitual observations without judging them, you shift from being inside the loop to observing the loop itself. And the observer of the observer has all the power. Try this experiment. Tomorrow morning, before you open your phone, pause. Feel the habitual emotional tone you wake up in. Is it tension, hurry? A sense of I must fix something? That's the frequency that starts your day's observation. Now change it deliberately. Breathe, soften, choose gratitude for no reason. This isn't positive thinking. It's retuning your signal. Watch how the world subtly rearranges itself in response. Conversations flow differently. Delays disappear. People mirror your calm instead of your chaos. Breaking the loop also means letting go of your addiction to the known. The brain finds comfort in repetition because it equates the familiar with safety, but the field only brings new outcomes when you're willing to observe beyond what you've known. That means allowing uncertainty. It means walking into a day without dragging yesterday's story into it. That's when miracles find you. In the gap between old observation and new potential. Remember, the loop only exists as long as you keep observing from the same vibration. Change your emotional baseline, your inner state of being, and the pattern dissolves like mist in sunlight. What once felt inevitable simply stops existing in your timeline. Reality doesn't trap you. You trap yourself by observing the same movie frame over and over. But the moment you realize you can change the projection, the loop loses all power. The deeper you understand quantum observation, the more you encounter a paradox that confuses almost everyone on this path. You gain infinite power to shape reality, but the moment you try to control it, the power collapses. It feels like the universe plays a trick, giving you creative authority but punishing you for using force. But there's no trick. There's physics. Control is tension. It's a signal that says, I don't trust the field to respond unless I make it happen. That vibration, rooted in doubt, transmits resistance. The field mirrors resistance by giving you experiences that resist change. You're still creating, I'm just unconsciously creating delay, struggle, or partial outcomes. The paradox is this. True creation happens not when you force observation, but when you allow it. The more relaxed your observation, the more precise the collapse of the field. The quantum field is a mirror of your state, not your struggle. Every time you try to grip reality tightly, repeating affirmations with desperation, visualizing outcomes with anxiety, checking for proof, you send out a frequency of absence. You declare to the field, this isn't here yet. The field agrees. Power in quantum mechanics isn't the ability to control particles, it's the ability to influence probabilities through observation. Conscious creation works the same way. You don't make reality change. You let the field reorganize itself according to your new observation frequency. The lighter your touch, the faster it moves. The tighter your grip, the more sluggish and distorted the results become. Imagine holding water in your hands. The harder you squeeze, the more it escapes through your fingers. But if you cup your palms gently, water gathers easily. Reality behaves the same way. Force makes it scatter. Allowance makes it form. Here's the subtle truth most miss. Allowing doesn't mean passivity. It means energetic openness, knowing reality is already shifting, even if your senses haven't caught up yet. You keep observing the version where it's already done, already true, already aligned. That steady, calm expectation collapses probability waves into manifestation. You're not pushing, you're witnessing creation occur in real time. This is why enlightened masters, mystics, and modern quantum pioneers all describe reality creation as effortless, not because they're lucky or detached, but because they've transcended the need to control outcomes. They understand that control belongs to ego, the small mind trying to manipulate details, while creation belongs to consciousness itself. When you surrender control, you don't lose power. You reclaim it. You stop fighting with the mirror and let reflection catch up. You stop forcing the seed to grow and simply water it daily with expectation. The observer's paradox resolves itself when you realize this. You were never meant to control reality. You were meant to command it through calm observation. By now you understand that emotion is the engine of observation, the current that powers creation. But here's the next level. It's not just about feeling intensely. It's about feeling coherently. Most people oscillate emotionally. Excitement one moment, doubt the next, sending mixed frequencies to the field. The result? Mixed reality. Manifestations appear then vanish. Progress builds then collapses. The field isn't unstable. Your emotional signal is. Emotional coherence means your inner vibration, thoughts, feelings, and expectations are all moving in the same direction. It's the state where your energy stops contradicting itself. You can't send a signal of trust while holding anxiety in your gut and expect the field to know which one to mirror. It mirrors the dominant vibration, and dominance is always measured by emotional intensity, not intellectual effort. This is why unstable emotions create unstable realities. Imagine tuning a radio between two stations and you hear static, not music. That's how most people live. They visualize abundance while emotionally vibrating in fear. They affirm love while carrying resentment. They believe mentally but feel doubtful physically. The field receives interference, not coherence. Static in, static out. When you achieve emotional coherence, the quantum field organizes itself instantly. You become like a laser, concentrated, directional, precise. A laser isn't more powerful than ordinary light because it has more energy. It's powerful because all its waves are in phase. Coherence amplifies power exponentially. Emotion works the same way. To reach coherence, start by simplifying your emotional signal. Instead of chasing high vibration all the time, aim for stability. Calm confidence outperforms euphoric highs that crash into lows. Choose one emotional tone that feels peaceful yet certain. Gratitude is the most effective. Gratitude says to the field, I already have it, aligning perfectly with right observation. When you hold coherent gratitude consistently, the field harmonizes with that frequency. The chaotic possibilities collapse into orderly outcomes. Life feels smoother, coincidences become constant, and manifestation accelerates not because you're working harder, but because your emotional frequency stops contradicting itself. Coherence also dissolves resistance faster than effort ever could. You don't fight fear or force positivity. You breathe into neutrality until emotion steadies. From there, coherent observation emerges naturally. You no longer try to manifest. You simply allow reality to match your stable signal. Think of coherence as emotional gravity. The more coherent your vibration, the stronger your pull on matching probabilities. Circumstances can't help but fall into orbit around your consistency. Every enlightened teacher, healer or conscious, creator operates from this state. Unwavering inner coherence that bends reality without effort. There comes a point in every conscious creator's journey when effort becomes resistance. You visualize perfectly, affirm endlessly, meditate daily when yet results stall. It's not because the field has stopped responding. It's because you've shifted from trust to control. The moment you start trying to make reality bend, you move out of alignment with the very field that bends for you. Trust isn't passive. It's not sitting back and hoping things work out. It's an active frequency, a signal to the quantum field that says, I no longer need to force this, because it already exists in the unseen. Trust collapses probabilities faster than any technique, because it signals completion, not craving. When you truly trust, you stop observing lack and start observing arrival. You stop looking for evidence that it's working, because you are the evidence. The field rearranges itself around your certainty. You become a gravitational center, pulling timelines of fulfillment toward you with no visible effort. This is why detachment is so powerful. Not emotional numbness, but relaxed expectation. When you release the when and how, you return to the frequency of already. The quantum field doesn't need your impatience. It needs your alignment. Impatience says, it's not here yet. Trust says, it's unfolding perfectly. One keeps the wave uncollapsed. The other brings it into form. The universe operates with flawless timing. What looks like delay is synchronization. The field is weaving infinite probabilities, aligning events, people, and pathways and patterns you can't yet perceive. When you demand instant proof, you interrupt that weaving. When you trust, you allow the pattern to complete. Trust also frees your nervous system. Your energy shifts from tension to flow. That relaxation amplifies your magnetic field, literally, measurable as heart coherence. You stop broadcasting signals of urgency or lack, and your observation becomes effortless attraction. The paradox, the less you chase, the faster it arrives. Every master manifester embodies this paradox. They act decisively but detach completely. They move through life with the quiet certainty of someone who knows the universe is self-correcting. They don't check the mirror every second to see if they've changed. They feel the change and let the mirror catch up. Trust isn't built overnight. It grows each time you witness evidence that the field responds to you. A coincidence, a perfectly timed encounter, a sudden breakthrough. Every time you acknowledge it, trust compounds. You shift from believing in the universe to knowing you are the universe expressing itself. Let go of control, not because you've given up, but because you've woken up. You realize the field doesn't need micromanaging. It only needs your frequency. At the deepest layer of quantum reality lies a paradox so profound it dissolves the line between you and the universe. You are both the observer and the observed. The creator and the creation are not two entities. They are one field, reflecting itself through infinite lenses of awareness. Every time you observe reality, reality observes you back. The observer's paradox is this: the very act of perceiving changes what is perceived. Science discovered it in quantum experiments, but mystics lived it for centuries. When consciousness looks upon potential, it selects, shapes, and experiences that potential and all at once. You are not watching the movie of life. You are the projector in the screen. Most people live as if they are separate, small beings navigating a vast, indifferent universe. But separation is illusion. The same awareness watching the stars through your eyes is the same awareness burning inside them. Observation isn't a one-way street. It's an infinite feedback loop of consciousness recognizing itself through form. This is why deep observation creates miracles. When you observe reality with absolute presence, no judgment, no grasping, no fear, you stop interfering with the feedback loop. You dissolve into it. In that instant, the boundary between I am observing reality and reality is happening to me vanishes. You become pure awareness. The observer and the event merge into one unfolding frequency. It's from this state that true manifestation occurs. Not from wanting, not from visualizing, but from being. You don't create by adding. You create by realizing. You recognize yourself as the source of the experience, not a character begging for it. The field obeys instantly because there is no delay between signal and response. The sender is the receiver. This understanding frees you from struggle. You stop chasing outcomes because you realize every potential already exists within your consciousness. The field is not external. It's internal awareness expressed externally. Every synchronicity, every sign, every reflection you meet is the field whispering, I am you. The paradox also explains why surrender and power coexist. When you let go of control, you don't lose power. You become one with it. You're no longer trying to manipulate creation. You're recognizing yourself as its author. And the author doesn't need to wrestle with the story. The story unfolds exactly as intended. To live in this awareness is to transcend the illusion of cause and effect. You realize that you're not reacting to life, You're generating it through observation, emotion, and frequency. The quantum field is your canvas. Attention is your brush. Emotion is your color. When the observer knows they are also the observed, creation becomes effortless. Life stops being a puzzle to solve and becomes a mirror to explore. You stop asking, why is this happening to me? And begin asking, what part of me is this showing me? In the language of quantum physics, collapse means the moment infinite probabilities condense into a single event, when the wave becomes the particle, when potential becomes matter. But in the language of consciousness, collapse happens the instant belief becomes absolute. It's the merging point between faith and fact, where your inner conviction fuses with external experience. Everything that exists around you right now is the residue of past collapses, the material, echoes of old beliefs that solidified into form. Every situation, every person, every event carries your energetic signature because your observation, your focused, emotional awareness, and chose it from the infinite field. You've been collapsing reality since the day you were born, though mostly unconsciously. The quantum field doesn't decide what collapses. You do. And the instrument of collapse is belief. Not wishful thinking. Not mental repetition, but embodied certainty. When a belief reaches emotional saturation, it no longer feels like something you're trying to make true. It simply is. That state of it already is collapses the field instantly. Because the field cannot distinguish between inner knowing and outer reality. It only mirrors frequency. This is why manifestation feels delayed when you still carry doubt. Doubt keeps the wave oscillating, undecided, unformed. You observe one potential today, then contradict it tomorrow with fear or hesitation. The field keeps waiting for your signal to stabilize. Once you hold unwavering belief, collapse happens automatically. The universe reorganizes itself to match your internal command. You've experienced this before. Moments when something clicked inside you and reality shifted almost instantly. You didn't need to try. You just knew. That knowingness is quantum collapse in human form. Belief becomes so complete that external conditions must align. They have no choice and the energy blueprint is locked in. The secret isn't to make yourself believe. It's to remove everything that blocks natural belief. Doubt isn't the opposite of faith. It's unintegrated fear pretending to protect you. When you dissolve resistance through awareness, belief rises effortlessly. Because truth has always been your baseline state. At the moment of collapse, reality feels still, silent, charged, alive. Time stretches. Synchronicities multiply. The outer world starts echoing your inner certainty with uncanny precision. It's as if the simulation updates itself in real time to reflect your upgraded code. This is creation at its purest. No force, no waiting, no hoping. Just alignment so complete that the universe bends around your conviction. Remember, the quantum field doesn't reward effort. It responds to finality. The instant you feel, this is done, it is. Belief is not repetition. It's recognition. And when you recognize something as already true, the field collapses, and reality obeys. Once you understand the collapse, you begin to notice something strange. Patterns. The same kinds of people, situations, and challenges looping through your life. Wearing different faces but carrying the same energy. It's as if reality keeps echoing itself, replaying the same movie with slightly altered scenes. That's not coincidence. That's the quantum feedback system reminding you, you haven't changed the signal yet. Reality is not linear. It's cyclical. It repeats until the observer shifts. The field is infinitely intelligent but completely neutral. It doesn't decide what to give you. It just mirrors your frequency back over and over until coherence changes. The echo isn't punishment. It's precision. It keeps showing you who you are being until you decide to be someone new. Every belief creates an emotional frequency. Every frequency radiates into the field. And every echo you experience, and whether it's love, rejection, struggle, or success, is that frequency bouncing back, asking, do you still want this version? If the answer is no, you don't fight the echo. You update the transmission. But here's the paradox. Most people react to echoes instead of reprogramming them. When the same old problem reappears, they reaffirm it through emotion, anger, frustration, disappointment, and that recharges the signal, amplifying the very pattern they want to escape. The field reads that emotional reinforcement and says, so this is still the dominant frequency. The echo grows louder. The way out is not resistance, but awareness. You stop reacting and start observing. You see the pattern without feeding it energy. You understand it's just feedback, not fate. When you observe without emotional charge, the pattern loses power. The wave begins to weaken. The field recognizes your frequency has changed and the echo fades. This is how deep transformation happens, not by fighting external events, but by shifting internal resonance. Once your emotional state no longer matches the old frequency, the universe cannot keep broadcasting it. The signal collapses, and new probabilities begin to form around your updated vibration. You'll notice this in real life as silence, the gap between echoes. A calm after the storm. It feels like nothing's happening, but that gap is sacred. It's the universe recalibrating to your new signal. Don't rush to fill it. Let the stillness rewrite your timeline. When you finally release the emotional attachment to the old story, the quantum field instantly tunes to your new broadcast. The echo stops. The loop breaks, and reality shifts so dramatically that what once felt like fate now feels like fiction. Remember, the field doesn't speak in words. It speaks in repetition. If a theme keeps showing up, it's not because you're cursed, it's because you're consistent. The echo isn't against you. It's your greatest ally, patiently reflecting the frequency you forgot you were sending. Reality is not a straight line, it's a fractal. Every choice you make branches into countless potential universes, each one carrying a slightly different version of you forward. With every decision, every thought, every emotional reaction, you are not just moving through time, you are creating a new thread of time itself. The quantum field is an infinite web of possibilities, and you are its living navigator. A fractal doesn't progress, it expands. Every pattern contains smaller versions of itself, repeating infinitely, each echoing the original shape but in new dimensions. Life works the same way. Each decision you make today contains the blueprint of all future ones. Every belief generates self-similar patterns across layers of your existence and in relationships, finances, emotions, even health. This is why your inner world and outer world look alike. One is the microfractal, the other the macro. Most people think destiny is fixed, but what they call destiny is simply the momentum of unexamined choices repeating themselves. The moment you make a new choice from a higher frequency, from awareness rather than reaction, you shift fractal trajectories. Whole universes collapse behind you and new ones unfurl ahead. Reality doesn't change gradually. It jumps through fractal selection. Imagine walking through a hall of mirrors, each mirror reflecting a slightly different version of you. When you choose differently, and even in thought, you step into a new reflection. That reflection becomes the new real world, while the old one fades into probability. You don't need to destroy the old version. You simply stop energizing it. Attention moves them, and so does existence. This is why small decisions carry enormous power. Saying yes when fear says no. Responding with calm when anger feels justified. Acting with love when ego wants to withdraw. These micro shifts may seem invisible, but each one reroutes your entire fractal pattern. Over time, the differences compound until one day, you look around and realize you've entered a completely different reality. Fractal creation is not linear manifestation. It's dimensional migration. You don't force change. You slide into it. Every emotion, every observation, every act of awareness moves you across the fractal landscape of possibilities. You're not climbing upward toward a better life. You're stepping sideways into it. And this movement is endless. Every breakthrough you experience opens more branches, more mirrors, more choices. The field doesn't run out of versions. It's infinite recursion. Every you that could ever exist already does, waiting for your observation to light it up. When you understand this, life stops being random. You realize there's no wrong turn, only new fractal expressions of consciousness. Every path teaches the same truth in a different shape, that you are the infinite observer, playing hide and seek across dimensions of your own creation. Everything you've learned until now points to one realization. There is no out there. Every layer of reality, every event, every quantum fluctuation you perceive originates from a single point of observation within you. The entire field of existence, matter, energy, time, consciousness folds back into one singular awareness observing itself. That singularity is you. When you strip away thought, identity, history, and expectation, what remains isn't emptiness, it's the raw field of infinite potential. It's not your mind observing the world. It's consciousness itself observing through you. You are the aperture through which the infinite becomes visible. The observer and the observed were never separate. They're the same phenomenon reflected in two directions. This is why the act of right observation is so powerful. You're not forcing reality to change from outside. You're remembering that you are reality's generative core. The moment you stop observing from separation, me here, world there, the illusion of distance collapses. Observation and creation become one act. The field doesn't respond to you, it is you, reorganizing itself into form as you look. Everything that appears external, every person, event, circumstance, is the quantum echo of your inner state. When you observe with fear, the field mirrors chaos. When you observe with trust, it mirrors harmony. When you observe as the singular field itself, nothing resists you because there is no other left to resist. Creation becomes fluid, effortless, instantaneous. All teachings, spiritual, scientific, mystical, converge here. The double-slit experiment, the Upanishads, quantum entanglement, non-dual awareness, and all describe the same truth from different languages. That the universe is consciousness, playing with itself. Through the act of observation, what you call life is consciousness exploring its own possibilities through infinite reflections. And the great paradox, the more personal your observation feels, the weaker it becomes. The more impersonal it becomes, and the more you observe as the field itself, and the stronger it gets. When you disappear, creation accelerates. Manifestation stops being about getting things and becomes about allowing the infinite to express itself through form. At the center of every wave, every particle, every heartbeat, there's stillness, the quantum zero point. That stillness is your true nature. Every reality you've ever experienced emerges from it and returns to it. It's the silent hum before thought, the awareness before observation, the void that creates everything. When you rest in that, you stop being the observer trying to control outcomes and become the singularity generating all outcomes. This is what ancient mystics meant when they said, "I am that I am." Not egoic declaration, but remembrance. The observer is the observed.